Timwa, welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting for May, Tuesday the 26th of May, 2026. Welcome to all councillors and to staff and those joining online and in the public gallery. Please note that today's meeting is being live streamed and can be viewed by the general public via Council's Facebook page and later uploaded to Council's website. By participating in and addressing those present at the meeting, you consent to any information you disclose, including any personal or sensitive information, being recorded and uploaded to the website. I'll now read the opening statement. As councillors, we recognise the responsibilities we carry and are guided by the values of service, respect and integrity. Good decision-making requires transparency, accountability and behaviours that uphold the trust placed in us as elected representatives of the community we serve. I now ask Councillor Murray to read Acknowledgement of Country, and a special one today being National Sorry Day.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. We acknowledge the Kirra people as the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations people here in the chamber and watching along on the live stream. We also acknowledge that today is National Sorry Day, a day where we recognise the pain and ongoing impacts experienced by the stolen generations and the tens of thousands of First Nations children forcibly removed from their families, communities and culture through government policies. With Reconciliation Week starting tomorrow, we acknowledge that healing is ongoing. That reconciliation requires all of us to listen, learn and walk forward together with honesty, respect and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. As I've said, there are no apologies for today. And any conflicts of interest? Anyone? There are none. Thank you. And the minutes, confirmation of minutes from the special council meeting on the 14th of April. And minutes of the ordinary confidential meeting on the 28th of April 2026, held on the 14th of May 2026. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Ryan.
Through you, Mayor. I just note in the previous minutes from April OCM and the special council meeting for May, the resolution numbers duplicate rather than running through sequentially. Is this correct, or is this an administrative error that's an easy fix? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. And I might just read that again because I read the, I didn't read it correctly. Just to clarify, confirmation of minutes of the special council meeting held on the 14th of April 2026, minutes of the ordinary council meeting and confidential ordinary council meeting held on the 28th of April 2026, and minutes of the special council meeting held on the 19th of May 2026. That got it right. Ms. Robinson, do you wish to take Councillor Ryan's question, please?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ryan, for that question and for noting that error. That is an admin error. There was some sort of error from the software package that we use that has repeated those numbers. We're looking into that and that will be corrected before the minutes are finalised.
Right, thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Ryan and a seconder. Councillor Foster. And the mover, Councillor Ryan.
Nothing further, thank you.
Seconder, Councillor Foster.
Nothing to add. Thanks, Mayor.
Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? No. Something further? I'll now put the motion to the vote. It's carried 7-0. Item 1.7, public participation. There are no public participation at today's meetings. We'll move to the officer reports. Item 2.1, Port Fairy Pool Asset Audit Report. Mr. Arnott, introduce the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. There's been significant community interest in the Port Fairy Pool facility and in this report. I'll briefly outline the context before turning to the findings. The Port Fairy Pool facility was constructed and historically operated by the local community through Belfast Aquatics. The 20-year lease for the land ended in November 2025. As part of the end of lease process, council undertook several inspections and assessments of the facility, consistent with the due diligence required for any asset transferring to council management. Those inspections raised serious concerns about the building condition, compliance with contemporary standards, and the condition of key plant, equipment, and infrastructure. The facility was voluntarily closed by Belfast Aquatics Committee on 21 November 2025 after mould and algae issues were identified through end-of-lease inspections. In January of 2026, following the conclusion of the lease and overholding arrangements, the facility formally transitioned to council. Given those condition concerns and the strong community interest in the facility, council resolved at the January ordinary council meeting to commission an independent technical investigation. The purpose of the investigation was to provide council and community with a clear understanding of the condition of the existing facility. This included the extent of defects, the works that would be required, indicative costs, life cycle considerations, and the risks and constraints associated with any further investment in the existing asset. The assessment finds that the facility is not suited to a repair-based solution. While remediation may be technically possible, the report does not present it as a simple, low-risk or reliable pathway to reopening the facility. The issues identified are significant, interrelated, and affect the building, full shell, plant, and operating environment. It's also important to be clear that this report is about the condition and viability of the existing facility. It is not a decision about future aquatic provision in Port Fairy. As council officers, our role is to present the findings clearly and objectively. And the recommendation reflects the evidence in the report and is intended to support council in making an informed and transparent decision about the appropriate next steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Questions, councillor? Does anyone have any questions? Say, I hope so. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Arnott, in the report, there are some figures that provided around the costs for remediation or repair. Could you just confirm those figures are associated with a like-for-like repair, are they? It's not an upgrade of any kind, it's just replacing as is?
Through the Mayor, that is correct. Yes.
Great, thank you. And Mayor, if I can just follow up question. So with that in mind, if we were replacing the facility exactly as is, would that facility pass muster if we overlaid contemporary safety standards and other building standards on that, in your opinion? I know that's a tricky one to answer, but just if you've got any thoughts around that.
Through the Mayor, thank you for the question. The report does speak to some concerns that though pricing has been undertaken, to replace, mediate in a like-for-like manner, that would come with some considerable risk around when major alterations are made to a facility. There are compliance requirements to bring things to current day standards. But separately and importantly, some of the components of the building would be 19 years old, while some would be new. And we would also end up with a structure that has turned out not fit for purpose. So that same outcome that we have now would be.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Arnott, it's helpful.
Thank you. Councillors, any other? Yep. Councillor Taylor.
But I have two questions, if I may. So one is just the investigation showed that there were extensive defects with the pool years. I was just wanting to know if you could clarify whether the estimated $3 to $6 million to repair the existing facility includes all related compliance, contingency, renewal and operational requirements, or whether it would be likely that additional costs would arise, and also whether ongoing operational costs have been.
Through the man, thank you. First, second question, no, operational and ongoing maintenance costs were not part of the scope of the report, unidentified in those estimated costs. The estimated cost for repair come with a plus or minus 20% range, and that is fairly standard at this point in a project of this nature, in that there are a lot of unknowns. However, there are still further unknowns around what might be required should a remediation be undertaken. The report identifies areas of the structure which weren't able to be accessed and would likely add to both cost and time. Further, there is considerable risk around securing contractor to price the works with the uncertainty that would sit with the project.
Just thank you. I just want to understand also from an asset management and also financial government perspective, if the council committed to this level of expenditure to such an asset that has this degree of deterioration, what sort of precedent might we be setting?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Council has a large and diverse portfolio of assets that it manages, and it's important to balance responsibility to ratepayers across all of those assets and undertake and manage those in a planned and responsible and financially sustainable way. So to take on an asset such as this would have an impact on those other assets.
Any other questions, councillors? Sorry.
Through you, Mayor. If we were to support this motion today, how soon does it come down? Like, is there a timeline in this? I guess I would like to try and understand that if this is the way we go, what time are we looking at?
Thank you, through you. At this point in time, should the motion be supported, there is no funding in the draft 26-27 budget. So councillors would at a later date have to endorse or approve expenditure for that purpose. And there'll be a number of statutory requirements and permits that would be needed prior to works being started. So it would be at least a few months until we'll be in a position to undertake any works.
Other questions, councillors? I've got one that I've been asked a bit in the community about, when this first kind of came to light, one of the questions was, could we turn it into an outdoor pool, because the building itself is, in such a poor state. Could the building go and the pool stay? So I'm wondering if you could just speak to that kind of idea or suggestion.
Yeah, thank you. The short answer, I guess, is no, unfortunately. And based on that, the report, removing the pool doesn't resolve a lot of the issues that sit with the facility. So the pool shell, the plant, services, compliance and the surrounding infrastructure all still remain in the condition that they're done. It would also introduce further complications and around structural issues. So trying to move it to an outdoor pool just simply isn't a viable option, unfortunately.
Any other questions at all, councillors? Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Murray and a seconder. Councillor Ryan. As the mover, I invite councillor Murray to speak.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Firstly, I wish I didn't have to make this decision because it is really heavy, and I think every councillor in here feels the weight of a decision like this. Nobody becomes a councillor looking to demolish beloved community facilities, and this decision makes me really sad. Sad because this facility is being decommissioned less than half the age that it should have been, and sad because the closure of this facility deeply hurts people in our community. I see people every day who are physically deteriorating because they've lost access to a warm water pool and gym. Children, including my own, still sitting on waiting lists for learn to swim lessons because neighbouring facilities in Warrnambool simply cannot absorb the demand. And I hear of the loneliness and isolation that's come from losing a place of connection and community. So I absolutely understand why this is emotional for people. It's emotional for me too. I'm sad because the behaviour directed at councillors and council officers throughout this process has at times been utterly disgraceful. People are entitled to disagree with us and to question decisions we make. That is democracy. But abuse, intimidation, threats and personal attacks are not now, nor should they ever be acceptable. My children have been threatened. I've been spat on in my own community. Sad at the amount of misinformation circulating in our community right now. So I want to state on the record that there is no conspiracy here and this was not premeditated. I remind our community that council did not close this pool and council did not own or operate this facility. Council inherited this facility 4 months ago. And I'm sad because I'm losing this pool. I have to go home tonight and tell my kids that I couldn't save their pool. While this isn't the outcome that I hoped for, I don't think this is the outcome that any of us hoped for. Ultimately, the reports are overwhelming, the building is unsafe, and continuing to pour money into a failing facility that has no long-term future would be wildly irresponsible. And while I am confident that supporting this recommendation is the responsible decision, I do make it with sadness. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Murray. Councillor Ryan as the seconder.
Certainly right.
Certainly right. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to speak for the motion. So from my perspective, we are elected to care not only for one beloved asset, but for the long-term well-being and financial sustainability of the whole Shire. Therefore, would it be responsible to spend many millions resurrecting a fundamentally compromised asset? While the investigation has been costly, it has provided clarity and certainty for both council and community. It confirms that the scale of the defence is far beyond what many hoped. This situation reminds us why councils must carefully assess not only the enthusiasm for a project at its beginning, but also its long-term maintenance. I understand many people are deeply disappointed, but every major expenditure decision must be weighed against the many competing infrastructure and service responsibilities council has. The pool has meant a great deal to Port Fairy over many years, but after reviewing the engineering evidence and considering our obligations across the whole Shire, I cannot justify committing many millions of dollars plus substantial future operating costs to an asset with such extensive structural and operational failures.
Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Ross.
I'll speak for the motion. First of all, I'd like to thank the staff and the contractors for putting the report together. It's a pretty thorough report. And also ask the community to actually read the report, the whole report. And on our agenda, if you go to page 76, key findings, stage 1, there's 3 words there: lack of maintenance. And that's pretty much what brought the pool down, lack of maintenance. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to? Councillor Foster.
Thanks, Mayor. I will also be speaking in support of the motion, Mayor, but I'm going to be doing so with a very heavy heart. And I think there is a heavy energy in this room today. But first I want to acknowledge, as Councillor Murray has, the deep sadness and disappointment many people in our community are feeling I know many of you are heartbroken, and it's important to me that you understand your feelings are recognised and respected. And I thank the many people who've been in touch to respectfully express a view. This is an absolutely heartbreaking decision for us to have to make. But I want to say to our community that this is not the end of the story. It's just the end of this chapter. We may not agree with every decision that has brought us to this point today, and I know there'll be many in the community who disagree with whatever decision we do make today. I ask you to remember that this council took on responsibility for this facility just weeks ago, and the independent technical investigations we've invested in since have given us insight and information we didn't have before, and it's very clear. Words like widespread and significant deterioration, and even the pool and liner has severely failed and is at end of life. It's pretty strong language, but it's pretty clear. So it would be short-sighted, it would be irresponsible if we tried to patch up a facility when, with some patience, we could work together to explore what's next. In fact, was it in February, Mayor? Yeah. We committed to doing exactly this. So whatever does come next will need to be a joint effort. We couldn't hope to do this alone, and we'd have to work in partnership, not only with our community, but with other tiers of government, and perhaps also with industry. We can do this. I believe that we are a community with a big heart and a can-do spirit. So again, I say this is not the end of the story, and I call upon all of my colleagues here today and our community to come together in the spirit of collaboration to perhaps imagine and envisage what the next chapter might look like. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Well said. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion?
I don't think I should say anything. Might upset somebody. No, I'm right. I'm happy the way it is. Glad that people have spoken and said what they've said.
Thanks, Councillor Lucas. Before I return to seconder, it's a very difficult decision. It's actually the decision itself is quite clear, but the weight, as Councillor Foster said, in the room is massive. I've had my own kids' birthday parties there. I've met with Councillor Ryan about running for council there. I've met, people. I've rehabilitated my own shoulder in there. I've watched people rehabilitate their bodies and their minds in that service. What happens in there can happen again. How we do that, we have documents and strategic plans, and as Councillor Foster said, we need unity within our community to work together to be able to reimagine what's possible. We have geothermal in Port Fairy. There's a multitude of wonderful options and ideas, but as Councillor Murray and Councillor Foster have said, we see the blue fish and we hear you and we see you, and it is a very, very difficult time, but we have a financial responsibility to all our ratepayers, and that would be financial madness to try and repair that building, unfortunately, with many, many very, very detailed report that says it's not a viable option. So it's difficult, but it's the right thing to do. So I'm kind of reluctantly supportive of the motion. Councillor Ryan, you reserved your right as a seconder.
Through you, Mayor. Those of you who know me know I'm not someone who operates in the black and white, in the grey. I very much operate in the black and white. I like process and outcomes. I like clear decisions and measurable results. We have asked for the facts. We now have the facts, and they are pretty damning. Council should always make decisions based on facts and evidence, not emotion. The Port Fairy Pool is a beloved community asset. Port Fairy Pool is one of those rare places that genuinely belongs to everyone. Doesn't matter your age, your background, or your fitness level, the water welcomes you all the same. It's one of the best things a community can offer its people, and once it's gone, the community feels its absence in ways they never quite expect. Yet our community has directly experienced that recently. When it comes to an asset like a pool, there's temptation to do the minimum. Patch the cracks, replace some beams, mend the pumps and equipment, tick the boxes and call it done. But that approach is treating the symptom and not the cause. The report states remediation works are estimated to cost between $3 and $5.9 million for the known defects to remediate to its current standard. These estimates should not be interpreted as the cost to reopen the facility long term or to return the facility to a fit for purpose asset. Our community deserves better than remediating a compromised facility. I want to make this next statement extremely clear. In February 2026, Council endorsed a motion noting the importance of aquatic access. It committed to actively exploring all viable options for a future aquatic provision for Port Fairy and surrounding community. I want to say this has not changed. Based on this report, we now know remediation of the current facility is not a viable option. So now we look forward. Getting this right means thinking beyond today. This is why I'm voting for this motion, and from here we commence the long and purposeful road ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Now to the mover, Councillor Murray, to sum up.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. In summary, it reiterates a lot of what's already been said. With this decision, I really believe we need to draw a line in the sand. We can't change what's led us here, and I now look to the future. This is not the end of the conversation for aquatic infrastructure in Port Fairy. It is but a very painful step in what will be a much longer process. As Councillor Ryan and Councillor Foster mentioned, at the February Council meeting, we formally recognised the importance of aquatic access for Port Fairy and committed to actively exploring all viable future options. That commitment does not disappear with the demolition of this building. Today we vote to demolish a building. We are not voting to abandon the needs of a community. I believe that Port Fairy deserves a pool, and importantly, the draft aquatic strategy says this too. It identifies that long-term indoor aquatic provision in Port Fairy is a strategic need and recommends as an immediate action that Council undertake a feasibility study for a future facility. That is important because that is not simply a community that wants a pool. This is a data-backed, evidence-based identification of community need. The need for health, for rehabilitation, for education, social connection and wellbeing, and it identifies that those benefits extend well beyond the boundaries of Port Fairy. The strategy is still in draft form and will come before this council next month for adoption. This issue has divided our community. It has pitted community against council, and at times it's pitted Port Fairy against the broader Moyne community. We're better than that. As we navigate the road ahead, I ask that we don't default to anger or mistrust. I ask that we choose kindness towards officers, councillors, and towards one another. I ask that every resident in Moyne have empathy and consider how you might feel should your town have lost such an important and essential community space. Trust that the councillors you elected are trying in good faith to do what is right, carefully, responsibly, and with the long-term future of our communities in mind. I do not make this decision lightly, and I will carry it with me for a very long time. And it'll be a really sad day when that building comes down, because it was your building. It was built by our community. You fought for 10 years to get it there. It was an extraordinary feat, but I believe that we can do the extraordinary again. I have hope for the future, but for today, I support this recommendation.
Well said. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour of the motion, or the motion. Motion is carried unanimous 7-0. Motion is carried. Item 2.2, audit and recent meeting minutes confirmed June and August 2025. Director of Corporate and Community, Ms. Robertson.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors. This report provides confirmed minutes from the Audit and Risk Committee for June and August in 2025. These minutes are being presented later than would normally occur, and we do apologise for that fact. That was due to the the unfortunate departure of our previous director and acting arrangements that were in place for a period of time, leading to some gaps in the process. Officers have been undertaking a review and we are picking up those gaps and working towards correcting them. That's the reason these are presented today.
Thanks, Robinson. Any questions, councillors? No questions. Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Ryan, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Ross. Invite the mover, Councillor Ryan.
Through you, Mayor, very procedural matter and understanding all of the circumstances for the late tabling of these minutes, completely understandable. With all factors at play, council is a very busy place, so you're happy to move them as they are today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Ross has the second.
No, it's back up councillor Ryan and nice easy one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? No. I now put the motion to the, I will turn to the mover. Nothing further. Now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion. Motion is carried. Unanimous. Item 2.3 monthly finance report, April 2026, Director of Corporate and Community. Again, Ms. Robertson, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, this report provides an update on Council's financial position as at the 30th of April 2026. The budget currently reflects a deficit position. However, this is largely due to the early receipt of the financial assistance grant funding in previous financial years rather than an underlying operational performance issue. Council's cash and investments are strong at approximately 14.6 million, and capital works delivery has made further progress since the previous month. Importantly for councillors to note, the home care package income issues related to Care Link have now largely been resolved and are back on track with expectations. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Robertson. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just a small question, really. Ms. Robinson, on page 246, which is our balance sheet, I note that investments over the preceding month from March to April had dipped. Is that something that we had expected, and should we be concerned about that?
Mayor, thank you for the question, Councillor Foster. Our investments do dip from time to time. It's not something to be concerned about. It is in line with last year. And to explain that a little bit more clearly, we receive our rates instalments quarterly throughout the year. And at this point in time, we're about to get the next instalment of those rates. So that revenue or those investments will increase upon receipt of some of that money.
Thank you for the explanation. Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Right, does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillors, thank you, Councillor Taylor, and Councillor Foster as the seconder. Councillor Taylor.
Just a straightforward one, but just noting the work that goes into preparing the monthly budgets. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Foster as the seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to note that despite the fairly strong financial headwinds we're all facing, I'm feeling really comfortable about where we are, and that's in no small part due to the diligence of our team who are keeping us all on track with a fairly conservative approach to our finances, which is required in these times. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? No. I'll turn to Councillor Taylor as the mover. Nothing further. I now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion. Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Events, item 2.2, Director of Corporate and Community again, Ms. Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, this one's a fairly procedural report and just presents the upcoming events for councillor endorsement.
Thank you. Any questions at all, councillors? Busy schedules. No. Does anyone wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Murray and Councillor Foster. Councillor Murray.
Again, very procedural. It is good for our community to see happening, but happy to move this.
Thank you, councillor Mayor. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, agree. It's fairly procedural, noting that it's not the only things we go to, but it is certainly some of the more formal ones we go to.
Thank you, councillor. That's a good point to clarify. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Yeah, I'll now return to the mover, councillor Mahoney. Nothing further. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Those for the motion. Thank you. That is carried. Item 3.1, Mayor and councillor activities. Councillor, item 2.3.2, there are no councillor notice of motion. Now move to item 3.3, general matters. Does anyone have any councillors have any general matters they wish to do? Councillor Murray?
Through you, Mayor. As mentioned at the start of this meeting during the acknowledgement, just recognising that today is National Sorry Day and tomorrow commences the beginning of Reconciliation Week. There are a number of activities happening across Moyne, and I encourage our community to jump online, have a look at some of the different basket weavings and the different workshops that we have at various locations across the Shire and get involved. Also, all councillors received an email yesterday from a resident of Koroit. Koroit have been going through their streetscape works on that side of the street. Don't know, the south side of their street. As we can all imagine, getting those footpath works done, and it interrupts business, it interrupts community life, and we got a really lovely email in acknowledgement of a member of our council team, and with that person's permission and at the request of the person that sent it in, I would like to read that out if I could. And I am on the wrong email, apologies. Oh gosh. So it reads, good afternoon. I am emailing you today as I would like to put forward my feedback about the dealings that I have had with Warwick Taylor throughout the renewal works in front of the Koroit News Agency. Warwick has been outstanding in the way he has managed the renewal works and has displayed a high level of professionalism and outstanding open communication. He has kept us informed all the way through the works and has kept disruption to a minimum, which is all we can ask for. I sent this through to Warwick. We sent it through, asked if he would be happy for us to read this out, which he was, but he was very quick to mention that this should be recognition of the entire project management team and the way that they've handled these dealings. So I want to thank Luke from the Koroit News Agency. People are often quick to send complaints, but very less common do they send such lovely compliments. And just a shout out to all of our amazing council officers for the amazing work they do, and to Was in particular. Thank you.
Great. Do any other councillors have any general matters they wish to bring up? Yeah, councillor Ryan.
Through you, Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge that the 17th of May marked Ida Hobbit Day, the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Intersex and Transphobia. I'm proud to note that our council marked this day with community engagement across activities across our local library network. And those activities provided a welcoming and visible space for LGBTIQA+ community members and allies to come together to celebrate. So great job to council for that. And I'd also like to second Councillor Murray's comments on National Reconciliation Week. I encourage all of our community to participate with open eyes and ears and use it as an opportunity to be active allies for the oldest living culture on earth. Thank you.
Councillor Ryan. Do any other councillors have any general matters? Councillor Ross.
Just a light one.
Yeah.
Councillor Dukas and myself had a day in Melbourne through Timber Towns, just doing some advocacy work. And we're pushing for the state government election this AI camera. It's a fire, instead of a fire spotter being up there during the day, they're putting some cameras or running funding for cameras that work day and night. Picked up about 96 fires in the Greater Southwest over summer. Very useful piece of kit. sort of mention that, the AI cameras, push it through to you parliamentarians to fund that, please.
Yeah.
For the whole state.
Thank you, councillor Ross. Yeah, well said. I'd just like to highlight that the late and great Jack Smits received the Order of Australia Medal on the 7th of May. And just to highlight he was a real stalwart of our community and a pillar of our, shire, and also his wife Jan as well, and often referred to beautifully in the standard as the golden couple. They're just absolute real pillars of our society, and one of the things that makes our community and our shire and our country great is volunteers, and they were real great volunteers of our community. So just a big shout out and acknowledgement to them. Any other general matters at all, councillors? Nope. No urgent business. 3.4. Now move to item 4.0 and 5.0, CEO meeting schedule and activities report. Mr. Everstein, thank you.
Thank you, through the Mayor. Thank you very much. So I'll just start my update today with a heavy heart in advising that David Hooper passed away in the early hours of last Sunday morning. Dave was a current Moyne Shire Council team member based at our Croydon depot, operating a backhoe right across the Shire. David had been with the council for 3 years and more recently also spent some time with our local laws team supporting them. So on behalf of Moyne Shire, we ask that Dave's family and friends accept our condolences, and we'll certainly miss him. So on to my updates today. So we also had a recent visit to Spring Street in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, being the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and myself, and also Michael from our comms and advocacy team. We met with ministers, shadow ministers and their staff to discuss priority projects in the lead up to the 2026 state election. So in those meetings, we explained and discussed the priorities here in Moyne, and with some requests for funding support. So that information can be found on our website. Next up, we had our draft budget, which came through our special council meeting just last week. So just a friendly reminder to community that is on exhibition right now for community feedback. And you can make submissions to our draft budget through the Engage Moyne website. We can also accept those in writing or via mail or email. Quick update on our roads program. So the roads resealing program is now complete, as previously advised, and we'll start that program in the new financial year. Our unsealed road resheeting program has also now been completed. And our road rehabilitation program is focusing in the last few weeks of the financial year on the Darlington Terang Road, Warrendoo, Streatham Road, Duns Road, Hopkins Fall and O'Sullivan's Road intersection, and they're all expected to be completed by mid-June. Construction work on the major culverts at Conwarren Lane, Mortlake has now commenced. This is a federally funded flood resilience project, so a really important one to traffic that use that east-west corridor. On our early years, our enrolments in April remained at 350, so that's down 15 places on last year, and that's predominantly fewer enrolments in our kindergarten program. With our capital projects, so our works have resumed on High Street in Croydon, as previously mentioned, with our Croydon Township Renewal Project. So drainage, curb construction, the upcoming works will focus on footpaths, driveways, and the like renewal work. So on to our asset renewal. So recent building works we've been focusing on include repainting works in Macarthur in the Senior Citizens building, and also in Macarthur at the hall and kindergarten. Also doing some maintenance work at the public toilet in Yambuck and the Chatsworth kindergarten, along with fencing at the Blackwood Centre in Croydon, and fencing at the Mortlake preschool. Quick update on the Mortlake Avenue of Honour. There were a couple of dead trees that have been replaced and curbside spraying undertaken where the plaques will be placed. So stage 1 fortnightly watering continues in line with the weather conditions. Our Gibb Street Bridge project in Port Fairy. So we are expecting to sign that contract with our nominated contractor very, very soon. So we look forward to making a public announcement around that real soon. So look out for that one. I had the pleasure of attending with the Mayor the Youth Advisory Board. That is a program that we have shared with Warrnambool City Council, and it was the end of that year's program over in Warrnambool last week, and it was a session that showcased the significant contribution young people have made across a range of council projects, policies and community events. So wonderful group there, and we really thank those participants for their contribution, and we have a fresh opportunity for youth in the year ahead. So that program, we're really pleased, will continue. Creative Moynes. So we have recently seen new initiatives which have flowed from the Arts and Culture Strategy. Actions include creative residency program, creative social events, artist exhibitions supported by creative change grants, and a new public art program for spaces in Mortlake and Cooroy. We had a record high 31 new Australian citizens welcomed in a ceremony in Port Fairy on the 15th of May. So that was a wonderful event, and a shout out to all of our newest Australian citizens that were there that day, and of course their families. With the high fuel and other costs of living pressures, we are very conscious that we are seeing the impact on tourism numbers. So it really is important that we're conscious and working with right across the southwest region, folks that really do rely on that tourism market. Our responses over the weeks and months ahead are going to be super important in a really difficult time for that industry as those numbers are impacted. On the bright side, Port Fairy has been announced as the 4th best town nationally and #1 for festival and events by the Australian Travellers Top 100 Towns feature, which is some wonderful recognition for the entire community and another great reason for folks to visit again soon. So you can follow the Create Moyne on Facebook and our website to get involved in the various programs that we have. Just to finish off, the National Volunteer Week was last week, and we were really pleased to acknowledge some of the volunteers that work directly with us at council, particularly down at the Visitor Information Centre in Port Fairy, and also all the volunteers that are part of our different committees and groups that help us oversee assets and other important activity across council. So on behalf of the Moyne Shire team, I'd like to thank the 75 people who volunteer their time so generously by sitting on council bodies such as the Economic Development Advisory Committee, Recreation Reserve Committees, Wind Farm Community, Engagement Committees, Disability Advisory Committee, and of course, as I mentioned, the VIC in Port Fairy, along with many others. So thank you to all those volunteers across Moyne Shire for their selfless service to communities. That's the end of my report. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Eversine. Always a detailed, thorough report. Appreciate that. Councillors, any questions, Mr. Eversine? Councillor Lucas.
Thank you, Mayor. It's more about information, not knowing much about technology and Facebook. Could you top Facebook posts? It's got impressions and reactions. What's the difference between those two?
Through you, Mayor. So one looks at whether someone's actively engaging in a post. So if they kind of click on it, if you like.
So that's an impression?
That is a impression. A reaction is where they might give a thumbs up or some sort of imprint on that message.
Or emoji,
an emoji,
angry.
yeah. So reactions mean they're more actively engaged with what has been posted.
Right. So it's
leave an impression.
You can look at it, and if you want to give it a thumbs up, you do that. So that's the reaction.
Yes.
So on the next page, top Instagram posts, it's got reach and reach. Is one of them wrong?
Uh,
Should it be reaching something else?
through you, Mayor, yeah, that looks like a typo there. So on the left-hand side, you'd have the equivalent of impressions, and on the right-hand side, the equivalent of reactions. So
Oh,
it
right.
looks like a misprint there at the top of the page.
Okay.
We'll correct that for next month.
So just seeing we're all about the pool today. Mine aquatic facility strategy. There was 341 impressions, would that be right?
Yes, yeah,
And 0 reactions.
that's right. At that point in time, that's correct.
Very interesting. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Mr. Everstein? Councillor Lucas, you've
No, someone else
rolling through by saying, sorry, flipping through.
If someone else wants to take over for a couple of minutes, 30 seconds or whatever, no?
Any other councillors? No questions? No. You've got more, Councillor Lucas?
It's a very interesting one. In the wind farms, you've got Dundonald wind farm giving 50,000 per annum plus 15,000 scholarship. Mortlake South 20. Where's the next big one? Mount Fine's proposed 85. And if you look at Ryan's Corner and Hawkesdale, Ryan's Corner is 130 and Hawkesdale is 157. It's a big disparity, is there not? Some of the bigger wind farms have given half as much as the smaller ones. We need to do something about that, definitely. Or maybe we can renegotiate. I don't know what they're like at renegotiating, but maybe if we embarrass them when someone like GPG can give 150 and proposed Mount Fines give 50, I mean, seriously, what do they think it is? I just thought I'd make that note. Thank you.
No, thank you, Councillor Lucas. Point 5 of our advocacy strategy speaks about that very thing, which, yeah, we've been advocating strong for more outcomes for our community, hopefully, from wind farms. So, yeah, good point, Councillor Lucas. Any other councillors have any questions for Mr. Everstein? No? Thank you again, Mr. Everstein, for the report. I now call for a motion to suspend standing orders in order for us to consider the items in the confidential agenda.
So moved.
Councillor Foster, thank you. Councillor Murray, those in favour? Yeah. Agreed, unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff, and thank you, community. Thanks for listening. Yes. Now moving to confidentiality. Water, thank you.